The complete history of Scottish whisky. Scottish whisky, or Scotch whisky, is one of the world's most iconic and celebrated spirits. Its rich history spans over 1,000 years, interwoven with Scotland's cultural, economic, and political development. The journey of Scotch whisky can be divided into key periods, each with significant milestones and influences. Origins. The early days, 9th to 15th century. The precise origin of whisky is unclear, but its roots lie in the distillation techniques introduced by Christian monks, possibly influenced by earlier Mediterranean or Middle Eastern alchemists. It is believed that distillation was brought to Scotland and Ireland by monks during the 9th or 10th century. These monks produced a distilled spirit known as aqua vitae, Latin for water of life, used mainly for medicinal purposes. Early whisky was quite different from the modern spirit, being unaged and likely harsh in flavor. First written records. The earliest recorded mention of whisky in Scotland dates to 1494 in the Exchequer Rolls of Scotland, 8 bowls of malt to Friar John Core, by order of the king, wherewith to make aqua vitae. This document shows that whisky production was already an established practice in the late 15th century. Whisky in the Renaissance. 16th to 17th century. During this time, whisky production spread beyond monasteries to secular distillers, particularly in Highland and Lowland Scotland. Key developments. 1. Spread to clans. Highland clans began distilling whisky as a common practice. Production was small-scale, home-based, and typically untaxed. 2. Legal and political factors. In the 16th century, the Scottish Crown recognised whisky's popularity, particularly among nobles, which led to early regulations and taxation attempts. Impact of the Union of Crowns. 1603. When King James VI of Scotland became James I of England, political and economic ties between England and Scotland increased. Whisky remained a distinctly Scottish product, but the English monarchy began taxing it heavily, setting the stage for future conflicts. The age of illicit distillation. 18th century. The 1700s were marked by increased taxation and smuggling. The Act of Union, 1707, between Scotland and England merged their parliaments and made Scottish whisky subject to English taxes, sparking widespread resistance. Key factors. 1. Excise Act of 1725 imposed high taxes on Scottish whisky, leading to a dramatic rise in illicit distillation. 2. Smuggling. Illicit distilleries, particularly in the Highlands, became commonplace, with smugglers using remote locations and secret routes to evade excisemen, tax collectors. The role of clan culture. Whisky making became an integral part of Highland culture, where clans protected local distillers from authorities. Some famous whisky smuggling routes and techniques from this era remain legendary in Scotland. IV. Legalization and commercialization. 19th century. The 19th century saw profound changes in whisky production, largely driven by legal reforms, technological advancements, and growing global demand. Key events. 1. Excise Act of 1823. This law legalized whisky production for a licensing fee and a set tax rate, effectively ending the era of illicit distillation. Many distilleries went legal, leading to the establishment of famous distilleries like Glenlivet and Macallan. 2. Technological advancements. In 1831, Irishman Ananias Coffey invented the coffee still, or continuous still, which allowed for more efficient and higher volume production of whisky. This still paved the way for the production of grain whisky, leading to the development of blended Scotch whisky. 3. The rise of blended Scotch. Blending malt whisky with grain whisky made Scotch smoother and more palatable to a wider audience. Pioneers like Johnny Walker, Chivas Brothers, and Dewar's popularized blended whisky globally, especially in England and the expanding British Empire. versus Golden Age and global expansion, late 19th to early 20th century. By the late 19th century, Scotch whisky had become a global commodity. Key factors. 1. Phylloxera plague, 1880s. This vine disease devastated French vineyards, leading to a shortage of brandy and cognac, traditionally popular spirits. Scotch whisky filled the void, gaining popularity across Europe and beyond. 2. Export markets. Brands like Johnnie Walker and Chivas Regal expanded into North America, India, and Asia, establishing Scotch as a premium global product. VI. Challenges and resilience. 20th century. The 20th century brought new challenges, including world wars, economic depressions, and prohibition in the United States. Key events. 1. Prohibition, 1920–1933. The U.S. banned alcohol, but Scotch whisky was still smuggled into the country, maintaining its appeal. 2. World wars. Distilleries were often repurposed to produce industrial alcohol for the war effort, reducing whisky production but increasing demand post-war. 3. Post-war boom. After World War II, Scotch whisky entered a golden age, with significant exports to North America, Europe, and emerging markets. 7. Modern era. 21st century. Today, Scotch whisky is a multi-billion-dollar industry, with over 130 operating distilleries across Scotland. It is recognized globally for its craftsmanship, heritage, and diversity. Key trends. 1. Single malt renaissance. While blends remain dominant, single malt whiskies have surged in popularity, attracting connoisseurs worldwide. 2. Global demand. Emerging markets like China, India, and Brazil have become significant consumers of Scotch whisky. 3. Sustainability. Many distilleries are focusing on eco-friendly practices, reducing water usage, and adopting renewable energy sources. Types of Scotch whisky. Scotch whisky is classified into 5 categories, each with its own unique characteristics. 1. Single malt Scotch whisky, made from 100% malted barley at a single distillery. 2. Single grain Scotch whisky, made from grains other than barley at a single distillery. 3. Blended malt Scotch whisky, a blend of single malts from different distilleries. 4. Blended grain Scotch whisky, a blend of grain whiskies from different distilleries. 5. Blended Scotch whisky, a mix of single malt and grain whiskies, making it the most common and widely consumed type. Scotch whisky regions. Scotland's whisky is influenced by its geography and climate, with 5 recognized regions. 1. Highlands, known for diverse flavors, ranging from light and floral to rich and peaty. Examples: Glenmorangie, Dalmore. 2. Lowlands, typically lighter and softer whiskies. Examples: Auchentoshan, Glenkinchie. 3. Speyside, the largest region, known for rich, complex, and often sherried whiskies. Examples: Glenfiddich, Macallan. 4. Islay, famous for smoky, peaty whiskies. Examples: Laproig, Ardbeg. 5. Campbelltown, a small but distinct region with briny, maritime flavors. Examples: Springbank, Glen Scotia. Conclusion. Scottish whisky has evolved from a humble medicinal spirit to a globally recognized symbol of craftsmanship and tradition. Its history reflects the resilience and ingenuity of Scotland's people, who have refined whisky making over centuries, turning it into an art form and a cornerstone of Scottish culture and identity. Today, Scotch whisky continues to thrive, blending ancient traditions with modern innovation to captivate new generations of enthusiasts.